This video we're going to go over the programming for the YGE 80HV controller. The setup we have is a controller here, a motor. I've got a 3-cell LiPo foamy pack just to give power to the controller. Programming card, which is plugged into a receiver, and we have the transmitter, which we'll use to set the braking strength. Plug in the receiver power, and you'll see we'll get some lights on the card to show that it's accurately reading . Next, what we'll do is we'll plug in the foamy pack, and that'll power it up. And if you listen, you'll hear the tone to tell us that the speed control is now in programming mode. So that tone tells us that the controller is now in the programming mode, and we're all set to go. First, we're going to do the timing, and if you can see the lights on in the row marked timing, and we're going to scroll across to the value we want, which is 24. Hit the enter button, which is here on the lower right corner, and we'll get a tone from the motor, and we'll also get a flash here from the LED in the speed controller. So the timing is set. Scroll down using the bottom left button to brake, and we're going to set it to acro. Enter. Next, we're going to set the cutoff type, which we're going to tell it to slow down. Also on this row, we're going to set the type of battery, which is going to be LiPo, and enter. Next, we're going to go to cutoff voltage, which if you look in the bottom row there, it's 3.0 we're going to use. Enter. Cell count, the first row we're not going to use. The second row, we're going to set it to 10. Next, we're going to go to the special function menu, scroll over to stop, and here's where we need the transmitter. We've got the transmitter set with the throttle stick at idle and the trim all the way down, and this will set our low speed. Enter. Scroll over now to full speed. Go back to your transmitter, and we're going to go full throttle, full trim up, and we're going to set that with the enter button. Next, we go to Acro Special, which we use to set the braking strength, and for our demo here we're just going to set it maybe at about 10 to 12%, which is just above the idle position on the throttle stick. Back to the enter button, push, and now that's set. To go to page 2, we're going to push the top and the bottom left buttons together, and now the flashing LED tells us that it's on page 2 of the programming. So we scroll to freewheel on, enter. Governor mode is a heli mode, we're not going to use that. Governor mode again, we're not going to use that. Startup speed, we go to plain slow, enter. PWM frequency, we're going to set to 8 kilohertz. Startup power, 8% is a nice number to use. And now we're all done. The only thing I want to mention is that when you set up the throttle using this, what I've done, if you can see this, is I've set my travel to 100% high and 85% low. What that'll do is that'll let you arm the speed controller by bringing the throttle trim down to about the mid position, and that will arm the speed control in use. In flight, when you bring the idle trim below half with the stick back, you'll start to engage the brake. And to do that, once you're all done, we go back to the throttle travel, and once the controller's completely programmed, set it back to 100% so that your travel reads 100 and 100. Enter that and you're all done. So in use, let me get a good picture here. When you bring the throttle trim to about mid, it should arm the speed control. When you go back up from there, you should start to get an idle. And if you want to use the brake function, you bring the trim back below the mid position and you should start to get braking.